the strongest, or the funniest, but because they operate from a completely different psychological mindset. Most men are constantly seeking validation from women. They text, chase, overcompensate, and in doing so, they unintentionally lower their attraction. But these men, the ones who don't care, seem to operate on a different level. They aren't arrogant, they aren't cruel. They simply have a mindset that women subconsciously find magnetic. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why detachment works and how most men completely misunderstand it. Before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. Sign number 1, they don't seek validation. These men don't need approval from women to feel good about themselves. They are confident because their self-worth comes from within, not from external attention. Women notice this, subconsciously, because when a man doesn't need validation, he projects calm, stability, and self-assurance. Here's why this is so rare. Most men have built their confidence on an unstable foundation. It goes up when she responds. It goes down when she doesn't. It rises with a compliment. It collapses with silence. And women feel that instability, even when they can't name it, because a man whose mood shifts based on her behavior has handed her the controls, and that transfer of power is felt immediately. But a man whose confidence doesn't move with her reactions, he's operating from something internal, something she didn't give him, which means she also can't take it away. And that immovability is deeply, quietly magnetic. Because most people spend their lives trying to manage how others see them, adjusting, performing, monitoring. But this man doesn't. He already knows what he thinks of himself, and he's decided that's enough. She can agree, or not. Either way, his value doesn't change. And when she senses that, something in her shifts. Because a man whose worth is self-determined is a man worth determining more about. Sign number 2, they have their own life. They pursue their goals, hobbies, and passions without needing a woman to define them. This independence is incredibly attractive. It signals to women, he's already fulfilled. He doesn't need me to complete him. And psychologically, that's magnetic. Here's a thing most men overlook. It's not about ignoring women. It's about being so focused on yourself that attraction happens naturally. Here's the deeper truth underneath this sign. A man without his own life puts a woman in an impossible position because she becomes the most interesting thing in his world. She becomes the source of his energy, his mood, his motivation. And that weight is not romantic. It's suffocating. Because no one wants to be someone else's entire reason. It's too much responsibility, too much pressure. But a man with his own world, his own projects, passions, and priorities, he brings something to the table. He has stories that didn't involve her. He has growth that happened outside of her attention. He has a life that was already full before she walked into it. And that fullness creates a very different dynamic. She's not being leaned on, she's being invited. Invited into a life that's already interesting, already moving, already going somewhere. And an invitation into something compelling is always more attractive than a plea to fill an empty space. Sign number 3, they don't overthink rejection. Rejection doesn't faze them. They don't take it personally, and they don't chase after validation. Women notice this emotional resilience. It's the opposite of neediness, and neediness kills attraction instantly. Let's be honest about what rejection actually reveals. For most men, rejection feels like verdict, like evidence, like the world confirming something they were already afraid was true. So they react. They withdraw dramatically. They send one more message. They get defensive. They make it mean something much larger than it was. And all of that reaction communicates one thing clearly. My sense of self was riding on your answer. But a man who hears no, nods, maybe even smiles, and moves on without carrying it, that response communicates something completely different. I was whole before this moment. I'm whole after it. Your answer doesn't rewrite who I am. And that's not coldness. That's self-containment. The ability to receive a no without making it a referendum on your worth is one of the most attractive forms of emotional strength a man can display, because it shows he's not fragile. He's not building his identity on shifting ground. He has roots. And roots are exactly what women are looking for in a man they can actually trust. Sign number 4. They speak less, observe more. Men who don't care tend to listen and observe rather than talk constantly. Women are subconsciously drawn to men who notice things without needing to be validated. It's subtle, but it creates psychological curiosity and intrigue. Most men talk too much about themselves, but these men let their presence speak for them, and it works on a subconscious level. Here's what's actually happening when a man talks too much. He's filling space, because silence feels exposed, because he thinks he needs to establish his value through words, because he's afraid that if he stops talking, she'll lose interest. But the opposite is almost always true. A man who speaks deliberately, who chooses his words rather than pouring them out, who listens with genuine attention rather than waiting for his turn, becomes interesting in a completely different way. She starts wondering what he's thinking, what he's observing that he isn't saying, what's happening beneath the surface. And wondering is the beginning of fascination. There's also something powerful in being truly seen. When a man listens, really listens, without redirecting, without fixing, without making it about himself, she feels it. She feels witnessed. And being witnessed by someone who doesn't need anything from you in return is one of the rarest and most disarming experiences a person can have. The man who offers that, she doesn't forget him. Sign number 5. They set boundaries effortlessly. They don't bend over backward to please everyone. They maintain emotional and personal boundaries naturally. Women notice men who respect themselves. It's a classic attraction trigger. Value yourself, and others will value you too. Here's what effortless boundaries actually look like. It's not aggression. It's not a speech about what he will and won't tolerate. It's not making a scene. It's simply not available for what doesn't align with him. His time has value because he treats it that way. His energy goes toward what matters to him. His yes means something because his no also means something. And women pick up on this immediately, because a man with no boundaries can be pushed, shaped, moved in any direction the room requires. And a man who can be pushed in any direction doesn't feel stable. But a man who holds his shape, who is clearly the same person regardless of who he's with or what they want from him, he feels solid. And solid, in a world full of men who bend, is extraordinary. Sign number 6. They are calm in uncertainty. Life throws challenges, and women notice how men handle them. These men stay calm, composed, and deliberate. That quiet confidence signals maturity, emotional strength, and psychological security. And here's the most powerful insight. It's not just about detachment. It's about the energy and presence men radiate when they are truly independent. Because independence isn't emptiness. A detached man isn't a closed man. He's a self-contained man. There's a difference. Closed means nothing gets in. Self-contained means he doesn't need anything from outside to stay whole. And that distinction is everything. Because a self-contained man can be fully present, can be genuinely warm, can be deeply interested, without any of it coming from need. His warmth is a choice. His attention is a gift. His presence is offered freely, not grasped for desperately. And when she feels the difference between a man who needs her and a man who simply chooses her, the second one wins every time. Because chosen feels completely different from needed. Needed is pressure. Chosen is connection. Sign number 7. They don't chase, they pull. Instead of chasing, they focus on themselves. This creates a magnetic pull because women subconsciously notice men who are already complete. Chasing creates neediness. Detachment creates intrigue. Let's talk about why chasing backfires so consistently. It's not just that it looks desperate. It's what chasing communicates about a man's internal world. When a man chases, he's saying, "You have something I don't have. You can complete something in me that I can't complete myself. I need you to give me something." And that framing positions her above him, not as an equal, as a solution. Women don't want to be solutions. They want to be desired by a man who is already whole. The man who pulls instead of chases operates from the opposite position. He's already complete. He's already moving towards something. He's already interesting. And if she wants to be part of that, the door is open, but he isn't going to drag her through it. That posture creates a very different dynamic. She's moving toward him, not because he manipulated her into it, but because something in her genuinely wants to close the distance. And desire that comes from her own movement is far more powerful than desire manufactured by pressure. Sign number 8. They are comfortable with silence. They don't fill every silence with words or attempts to impress. Silence becomes connection, curiosity, and subtle tension, all psychological triggers of attraction. Here's the twist most men don't get. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means powerful self-possession that women subconsciously notice. And silence is where self-possession reveals itself most clearly. Because silence is pressure. For most men, it feels like a test they're failing, like something has gone wrong, like they need to fix it. So they talk, they joke, they ask questions they don't care about. They perform ease rather than feel it. But a man who is genuinely comfortable in silence doesn't need to fix it. He sits in it, calmly, without urgency. And that calm changes the silence itself. It stops feeling like absence. It starts feeling like presence. Because two people sharing silence without discomfort are sharing something real, something that doesn't need words to exist. And that kind of connection, the kind that doesn't require constant maintenance, is what most people spend years looking for. Sign number 9. They prioritize themselves without arrogance. The ultimate trait, they put their energy into personal growth, experiences, and happiness first. Women are drawn to men who value themselves naturally because it signals strength, stability, and independence. Here's what self-prioritization looks like when it's done right. It's not selfishness. Selfishness is taking without giving, taking without caring about the impact, making yourself the only person who matters. Self-prioritization is different. It's understanding that you have to be whole yourself before you can offer anything of value to someone else. It's protecting your energy not because others don't matter, but because you know that a depleted man has nothing real to give. A man who has invested in himself, his health, his growth, his peace, his purpose, shows up differently. He's not giving from an empty place. He's not desperate for her to fill something in him. He's not sacrificing himself to win approval. He's simply a full person, offering to share that fullness. And a woman in the presence of a man like that doesn't feel responsible for him, doesn't feel like she needs to manage him, doesn't feel the weight of being his source. She just feels good around him, consistently. And the person who makes you feel consistently good, without asking for anything in return, is the one you keep coming back to. What all 9 traits have in common. Step back for a moment, because if you look at every single sign on this list, there's one thing they all share. None of them are about her. Every single trait is an inward quality, something this man has built inside himself, something that exists whether she's watching or not. And that's exactly the point. Because the men who chase are always performing for an audience. Every move is calculated for effect. Every word is chosen for reaction. But the men who don't chase aren't performing at all. They're just living, fully, honestly, from the inside out. And that authenticity, that lack of performance, is what creates the pull. Because you can't fake being whole, you can only become it. And the men who do the work to actually become it never have to chase again. Final layer. So now you see it. Men who don't care about women aren't heartless. They aren't arrogant. They are emotionally independent, self-assured, curious observers, calm under pressure, focused on themselves. And most men waste this opportunity by overcompensating or seeking validation. They think the answer is more effort, more messages, more gestures, more trying. But the answer is almost always less chasing, less performing, less needing, and more being, more building, more becoming the kind of man that attraction follows naturally. Because attraction was never something to be chased. It's something that follows a man who has stopped running. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want more insights into female psychology, the psychology of attraction and relationship patterns, check out the other videos on this channel. Once you start noticing the subtle power of detachment, attraction happens naturally, without chasing or neediness. Now tell me, which of these traits do you already embody? And which ones are you ready to develop to stop chasing and start attracting naturally?